Hello, Casey.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
Me
Finally.
too. Oh my God. We've been like really dancing around each other lately and like with each other. We've been sharing in each other's communities. I was on your pod, you're here. It's been fun.
Yeah, you were in our membership. So
hmm
fun. I was in
hmm
your membership. Like,
I know.
yeah.
We were
Yeah.
everywhere.
Oh, I love the
Um,
co-creation though. I think it's just so fun.
mhm. Yeah, I'm actually, this came up in a conversation yesterday where there's been I feel like we're diving in and I want to ask you a question first, but we've come out of this like dark time of competition. Well, maybe we're not out yet. I don't know, but it feels like we're almost out of the like competition, right? Like women competing against each other. And there's so much fun and juiciness in the collaboration and in the coming together and the sharing and the learning from each other. And it feels really, really, really sweet. So thanks for being in it with me.
Yeah, I think that's where we're going. I think that's what's happening
Mm-hmm.
in the last like 5 years. We've really watched the evolution of that with women, and it's really exciting. And like those of us like you and I who worked really, really freaking hard on like healing that sister wound and witch wounding and all of the things that,
Mm-hmm.
pit us against each other and all the things like been really, really beautiful. And so watching that happen is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that it will continue more and more. But like, I don't know about you, but it's really been in like the last 5 years that I've really, really noticed like women doing the work, getting in spaces that make them really uncomfortable to like
Mm-hmm.
heal that wound so that we can feel safe in the presence of other leaders, powerful women, women doing
Mm-hmm.
very similar things to what we do. And the
Mm-hmm.
collaboration that's happening is like, love it.
Yeah, and I don't even think like honestly, if I can be really truthful, for me, I didn't even put myself into it until I honestly think in the last 4 years, like yes, it was within the last 4 years, and it started by me joining like masterminds and joining mentorship programs and being in those spaces first and foremost to learn and expand my business. And we don't all know, but you and I know that when you go in to learn and expand your business, you're like cracking your whole entire self open. It's so much more than your business. But that's where it started for me. And I think I always like I'm an only child, grew up in a small town. There was always this like seeking for like I wanted sisters, I wanted brothers, I wanted people. And yet my behavior would always like find a way to have me just be by myself. I'll just do it by myself. I'll just be by myself. And so it was edgy for me to get in spaces and want to co-create and share. And now it's like all I want to do.
Hmm. I feel like there's so
Co-create.
much that we could just sit here and unpack like on this topic alone.
I know. Tell
It's
me how
so
this.
like it's incredible how far we are coming, and I think that need for women to do it like all on our own and like savior
Mhm.
mentality and all of those pieces that we're shedding. And I think as a collective, especially as women who are like doing this work and in personal development and like rebonding masterminds, 100%. Like that's where it totally started for me too. They were
Mhm.
so triggering in the beginning. And then
Yes.
it was like, I
Yes.
just had to be okay with me. And the more I did that work on healing through, like, if I'm triggered, that's something that I get to nourish and heal within myself, right? Like, there's
Mhm.
just a part of me that is feeling super tender every time that happens. And so the more I did that, with parts work and somatics and, you through breath work and all of these tools that we have, the more we reconnect to that, oh, it's such a beautiful environment that we get to be in when we can
Mhm.
collaborate with people. And it absolutely was when I like got okay with me and got okay in those rooms that I started collaborating with people. And that's when my business like took off. I was
Mhm.
struggling so bad in the beginning because it was like constant competition and like,
Mhm.
am I doing this right? And she's better than me and I'm never going to get there because XYZ and all this shit. And like when I actually released everything that was telling me that and did that work, my business went from here to here in like six
Mhm.
months. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I need to like write a note so I don't forget to ask you this because I want to go back to the beginning. Like, can we pause? Everyone just pause. Everyone pause and take a nice glass of drink of your water, cup of your coffee. Okay. I'm coming back to this. I'm coming back to this. Um, first question before we go real first question. Wow. Two questions. Two questions. One, what are you reclaiming right now in your life?
Yeah.
Two, tell the people who you are.
Yeah. Okay. I love this. I will first say, hi, I'm Casey Volard, and I am a mom of three little girls,
Mm-hmm.
who are my whole world, and my husband is the bomb. We are like having so much fun in life right now. And I share this with you before I tell you who I am, because that is the biggest reclamation that I am going through right now,
Mm.
because like I've had the business success. I've built all the things that I've wanted. And it's so interesting when we, work really hard towards things as visionaries, we get to a place where it's like, okay, I've quote unquote manifested all the things. But now it's such a self-responsibility to put myself in the scary positions to be like, hey, the life that you said that you wanted, now you have the ability to do it and you actually have to go after it. And that feels more scary than anything. So this point in my life, I feel like it's such a reclamation of power. I'm reclaiming everything that I ever said that I wanted beyond just the manifesting the ability to do it. So um, we are talking about pulling our kids from school in the fall, world schooling them, like moving out to Costa Rica for a few months, like
Oh
living on the
my
beach.
God.
Oh my gosh, like renting out our house. I have no idea what even this means. This is like, you know what I mean? And so 10 years ago, like I didn't have a business, living in like a mold infested condo, like
Mm.
$20 to my name. And I know I've told you this story before, but it's just like such a full circle moment that like at that time I was like, I'm going to create a life with no limits, no limits. And so building the business, creating the financial freedom, creating the nomadic lifestyle where like my husband is at home with me and we do have the ability to travel. And it would be so easy to just sit in this cushy little environment and keep doing what
Mm-hmm.
been doing, right? But
Mm-hmm.
long term, I was like, but that's the dream. It's the
Mm-hmm.
travel, it's the experience, it's the seeing the things that, we now have the ability to see. And it's scary as fuck. Like you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like this is crazy. So what am I reclaiming? It's the power and the like scaring the pants off myself in a way that is so different than like taking risks in the business or hiring the
Mm-hmm.
person or
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mm-hmm.
so it feels so edgy and it's really cool.
It's so cool. How do your kids know that you're thinking this?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
do what do they
They're
think?
so excited. And it's
Yeah.
been a really cool opportunity to open up conversations with them around just like how we have normalized going through school, graduating. What are
Mm-hmm.
you going to be when you grow up? You have no idea. So you submerge yourself in 5 more years of school that you're never going to
Mm-hmm.
use. You
Mm-hmm.
end up getting a decent job. You get married, you have kids, you buy a house, you get cancer, you die. Like
Mm-hmm.
we've normalized that. And so with my kids, it's been really cool having that conversation of like, there is so much more to life than just school and dance,
Yeah,
school
there
and your
really is.
friends. And it's scary and it's going to be a huge adjustment, but the kids are like, yeah, like we want to try that and just see what happens. It's not we're leaving it really open-ended and just
Mm-hmm.
playing and seeing kind of what comes out of it. So yeah, they were
Oh.
actually really receptive, which I was really surprised. I honestly thought the kids were going to be like, no, we're not doing that. What about our friends? What about our sports? What about our
Mm,
house? And
yeah.
like, there's of course questions, but no, we just came at it really from a place of like, when you are old and gray, there are going to be things in your life that, what are the stories that you're going to tell your grandbabies? That was a
Yeah.
conversation that I had with my 12-year-old daughter. And actually, a lot of the conversations that I've been having with her have been such like soul medicine for me,
I bet.
like explaining to her these different scenarios. And like I said to her, when you are old and gray, you are going to have stories that you can tell your grandchildren that most people will never in their lifetime be able to, and so it's really exciting.
Yeah. Holy cow. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's so
Wow.
weird, like openly talking about it, when you dream
Mm-hmm.
things, you're like, wouldn't it be
Mm-hmm.
cool? And now actually like opening the conversation and talking about it feels just like, holy shit, we're doing the thing.
So is this has this been a dream of yours for a long time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've always wanted to travel. I've always
Mm-hmm.
watched people online that are like travel families and
Mm-hmm.
living on the beach and all of that, and like
Mm-hmm.
I am happiest when we're doing our, couple week road trips that we do in the summer and like,
Mm-hmm.
our extended trip that we do into Fino every year and all
Mm-hmm.
the things. And I think at the end of the day, it's like we will work, and I know a lot of people on your podcast are entrepreneurs. Like you work
Mm-hmm.
so hard and you care so much, but what is the end goal? Is it the
Yeah.
$1 million? Is it the 100K month, 10K month? Like what is that actually going to give you? Like when you have the money, what are you going to do? And then
Mm-hmm.
we say that we want like freedom and we want happiness and we want abundance. We want like what is that though?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really, what is that? And so
Yeah.
I had to get really honest with myself in the last year, after hitting so many of these financial things, doing things that I said that I wanted. And it was like, how long are we going to do this before I actually start to act on what freedom actually means? Because
Ex-
freedom doesn't mean working, 10 hours a week, but then in the off time, you're just sitting around.
Right.
Like, that's
Yeah.
not, you know?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because it was in the back of my mind of like, we as like society work
Yeah.
so hard to like pay the bills, get a mortgage, vacation
Yeah.
once a year, like, all the things that we're told to do.
Yeah.
But like, where's the life? Like, where's the living? And this came up for me really big during the pandemic where I was like, well, I can't fucking go anywhere. Where I was like, why am I like, what is life? Like, why do I work so hard to like like you just said, like I would work all day. I'm a manifesting generator. I will work all day. But like I'll work all day and then it's like, okay, well, it's dinner time. So I'm gonna eat dinner and then I'm gonna like relax for a little bit. And then I'm gonna go to bed and I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna do it all over again. And then the weekend's gonna come. And I'm definitely not someone who like lives for the weekend, but like if the weekend comes, I try not to work so much. So maybe we'll do a little bit of an outdoor adventure, but it's like, where is the living? And then when everything shut down, I was like, what the fuck is the point of all of this? Like living the life should be first and then your work ideally. And I get that, not everyone can have this, depending on where you work, that might not be financially feasible, but like we then start a business. Like, I don't know, like there
Mhm.
has to be something. And so it's like, can living and can life be number one? And then how we get that life be number two, because it's all going to end one day. And are we really going to look back and be like, man, am I ever glad I worked for 12 hours every day? And yeah, I remember that one time I went to the beach and had a picnic with my friend. Like we need to be living more. So I love that you're bringing this into your kids' lives and into your life, your partner's life. It's so
That's,
important, like what your
I
kids
think
will
that's
learn.
perspective shift. Like look at your life and ask yourself, like, what is happiness? Like
Mm-hmm.
what is happiness? Like you wake up with health and you wake up with all these things and like that's great. And it's like, I refuse to live a life that is mundane. I refuse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay
Mm-hmm.
for some people, but for some of us, it's simply not okay. Like that's not it,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we make the dream so far away too,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, can you imagine if I could? I was like, yes, I can imagine. And yes, I'm willing to put in the work. And yes, I'm willing to work towards making that, my reality. And like you said, like, we're also living in a time, my friends, where like we're not living the same lifestyle as our parents.
Mm-hmm.
Going to school and getting a regular job to work for somebody for the rest of your life. Like you are so freaking intelligent. You are magnificent. You are a hard worker. You have so much heart. You have so much knowledge available at your freaking fingertips. We
Mm-hmm.
have a device in our hands that we can learn anything from, and we can make millions of dollars. And, we sit there and we're like, well, when I like, no, pull out your device, build yourself a business, whether that's like coaching online, building some other kind of business, jump into network marketing, get into investing, get into real estate, like figure out a way to
Mm-hmm.
generate extra income for your family
Mm-hmm.
and go do what you said that you wanted to do. Go do,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be hard and it's scary. Like, I'll be the first one to tell you that, like it hasn't been easy. I have cried more tears
Mhm.
in this entrepreneurial journey than like normal. Like it's not, the
Mhm.
breakdowns are not normal. Like it's been hard. It's
Yeah.
it's so hard. And at the same time, it's so easy. It's
Mm.
so easy.
Mhm.
And when you are so focused on like, this is what it means for me to be so devoted to my life, nothing else matters. And
Mhm.
when once you get there, it's like, holy shit. Okay.
Mhm.
We're gonna do these things. And you look back on the things that you do and it makes you so proud. And like As She Rises live event last year was a huge piece of this for me too, because it was like something that I was so scared of doing. And these are like
Mhm.
big scale things for me, but guys, I felt the same way when I like started my podcast, when I did
Mhm.
my first post on Instagram, when I signed my first client, when I made my first offer, like
Mhm.
it's the same. It's the same scared. And
Mhm.
like after that event was done last year, a weekend with hundreds of women, a stage that like I built, I envisioned it, I created it, a year in the making of like hundreds of hours and so many freaking tears to make that
Mhm.
happen. You look at these moments and it's like, oh my God, I created a masterpiece.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
want my life to be like that. I want my life to be something where like, oh my God, that's a masterpiece.
Yeah. 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 Masterpiece. You said something earlier about your children creating memories that they can, like stories that they can tell their grandkids. And
Yeah.
I was in a group, and one of the women said, "Oh God, how did she word it? It was so beautiful." Essentially, it was like, I want to live a life that is worth telling stories about. It wasn't that, but that's essentially like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bones of it. And yeah, now the piece that I feel like holds us, well, I don't actually know what holds us back. I think what holds us each back is different, but our parents weren't doing this. Our parents were doing what their parents had taught them, which is like work really hard, have a simple life. And, for me, it was like, we have just enough. Like, we're not, there's more, there's no excess. We're just going to like have enough and we're going to be happy with this. And we should be grateful because there's people starving in Africa. And so with all of the other, God, laundry list of things that we're in this generation healing and processing through, and like cord cutting and all of the pieces that we're all doing. Um,
Mhm.
Part of that is like stepping into this worthiness that like we do get to live this really beautiful life, and it gets to be the way we want it to be. It gets to look the way we want it to look. And no, people didn't really demonstrate that for us. Very few people prior to our generation did that. And so this is edgy and it is new and it will be a little unfamiliar and scary
Totally.
and okay, great.
It's exciting. Is it
Yeah.
scary? Or is it exciting? Like, I don't
Right.
know. It's like a roller coaster. You get to the top and you're like, I am so scared right now, but everything is like, "Ah," like I'm so excited, you
And then you get to the
know?
bottom and you're like, do it again, do it again, do it
You want to do it again. You want to do it again. And like your business gets to be that same way. Life gets to be that same way. And like our parents also did not have the technology and the
again.
accessibility and knowledge that we have now. So they had no clue. It was
Yeah.
so much harder to make $1 million when they were our age,
Yeah.
and also this whole idea of like, who are you to do that when there's starving kids in Africa? Or like, don't throw that out because there's people like,
Mm-hmm.
what if we reframe that? And like, when we get millions of dollars into the hands of really good people, I can fly my
Mm-hmm.
kids to Africa and help,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, do something
Exactly.
about it. Me
Exactly.
being my like martyrdom, and
Yeah.
saying like, and yes, I have that programming from my parents too, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, who are you to want this when there's so many suffering people in the world? And it's like, well, I can't do shit about the suffering people if I'm broke and suffering. So I'm going to clean
Exactly.
that up myself so I can actually do something about it. And I can teach my kids how to live a life of doing something about it. And that's how we're actually going to change generations. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
it. It's such a powerful ripple effect that we have like at our fingertips available to us now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. And it's almost like, well, this is just, thoughts in my head, so take it or leave it. But I feel like it's kind of our duty to like shake shit up. And I mean, like our generation, like this current adult generation, it like change is happening and it is our duty to be part of that because we can't stay where we've been. Like we don't want to and we can't. And so if we're just sitting ducks and we're not doing anything, then we're part of the problem, right? So I feel like
I
it's important that we shake it up, and it's going to look different for everyone. Not everyone is going to be an entrepreneur and make big changes in the world, and they're going to go to their office job and be really good at it and come home, and maybe their big change is how they're raising their children, and they're raising their children to be
absolutely.
loving, kind, right? There's a role we each have to play. And so yes, we're talking business, but take take this as like, where can I show up in my life more fully, like maybe even like with more fire, like where can I really show up, where am I being a sitting duck?
Yeah. How can I bring more fire and oh my God, what just popped up is that more passion, more energy, but like more footwork.
Yeah.
But that's like, what if you looked at your life like that? Do you have to go as grandiose as I'm talking about here? No, but like, how do you romanticize your life more and get more curious about your life more? And like, the weekend that you didn't go camping or hike that mountain because you had shit to do, like the shit will always be there to do. Go
Mm-hmm.
live your life and go teach
Yeah.
your kids how to go live their life. And like,
Yeah.
it's so inspiring. That ripple effect does not have to just be around wealth. The ripple effect happens anytime we are brave, we step outside our comfort zone, we say the thing
Mm-hmm.
that was hard to say, we set the boundaries that are hard to say, we
Mm-hmm.
heal generational trauma. Like that's the ripple effect. And yes, it impacts our kids. It also impacts our friends. It impacts the people who we are in community with. And it's a very, very exciting time that we are in. And I do believe that this generation are the change makers. I
Mm-hmm.
1000% agree with you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Can I ask you an incredibly random question that just popped up right before we hopped on? I was like, oh, I want to ask this. It has nothing to do with anything we're talking about. But
Yeah.
I feel
I
like I was like, I'm gonna
love
bring in
that.
random questions to people. Okay, celebrity crush. It's like really out of left field. I know.
Oh, a
I
celebrity
want a I
crush.
want a boy and a girl.
Okay,
Yeah.
celebrity crush. Miley Cyrus for a
Yeah.
girl, of
Yeah.
course. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't even know. I can't, I mean, can you top Miley Cyrus? No, she's everything.
Be great.
But also like Dolly Parton.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Bless your heart.
yeah, like, I mean, like, look at what she did in her time. Like, let's go. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Miles, what is his last name?
Oh, what is he in? I'm Googling him right now.
Like
What show is he
Top
in?
Gun Heller,
Top
is
Gun.
that his last name?
Miles. Let me see. Google, help me out.
I want,
Miles. Oh, he's in the new Top Gun?
yeah, Miles
Oh,
Teller. That is that is him. Like, I don't know what it is, but he's just
okay.
such a snack.
Miles Teller. I don't even know who this is.
Also
Oh, yes. Okay.
Footloose. Footloose.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, this is a good one.
My guy. That would be my
That's a good
guy.
one. Hmm. Now
Yeah.
I'm just staring. I'm just staring at my phone. Okay. Thanks for that. Thanks for playing with me on that one.
Yeah. I love
Tell
that question.
me, okay, so you have a network marketing background, yeah?
Yeah, I do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You do, yeah. Okay, two-part question with that. Earlier when we were speaking about competition, like between women, and do you feel like network marketing uh supported you in getting through that, or did it amplify it a little bit?
Mm. I was in Beachbody for 5 years.
Hmm.
I was a founding Canadian coach, built my business to like super successful levels.
Hmm.
Um, got to speak on all the stages, got to do all of the things.
Hmm.
Um, I was young, like I was like 23
Oh,
when I
wow.
started that business and it like popped off. So I'm like 25 years old, super
Wow.
successful, flying all over
Yeah.
the place, speaking on the stages. So
Cool.
to answer your question about comparison, it did two things that I believe were like awesome, but also highly detrimental. It like put me
Mm,
on a pedestal. So
right.
I felt like there was this idea of perfection. I'm not allowed to
Mm-hmm.
fail. I'm not allowed
Mm-hmm.
to mess this up. I felt like, there was just constant pressure. And I
Yeah.
think in that period of your life, like when you're 25 years old, I was a brand new mom, like there's just so many things to it. And I was getting attention that I had never gotten like as a child or like,
Right.
so it was just like, it was kind of a mind fuck because I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
can't let this identity of being perfect
Mm-hmm.
down or I'm going to let everybody down.
Mm-hmm.
Also like in a fitness and wellness company, everyone were like these tall, thin,
Mm-hmm.
long blonde hair, huge fake boobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Super fit. The most beautiful people that walked the planet were all
Mm-hmm.
Beachbody coaches, I think. Right? So
Uh-huh.
it really perpetuated this idea of like what my body image should be. So I think there was a lot of years through my 20s
Mm-hmm.
where, in my through my teens, early 20s, and I know we've talked about this before, like it was the partying and it was the drugs and it was the relationships and it was all of these
Mm-hmm.
things. Then I got pregnant, completely turned my life around, but my drug of choice then became fitness and
Mm-hmm.
restrictive eating and looking
Mm-hmm.
around at all of the people and like no shade on that company. It's a beautiful program. I was doing it for a lot of the wrong reasons because I was looking around at like
Mm-hmm.
this is who I have to be successful. This is
Yeah.
like the poster child of success, especially in this company. And so it was just so much pressure. And I didn't realize how like truly detrimental that was to my mental health until I decided to walk away from that company after
Mm-hmm.
building it to multiple seven figures as like
Wow.
in my mid 20s,
Wow.
walking away from it to start in this business. And it was like, no one is paying attention. Nobody cares. You're literally
Mm-hmm.
a nobody in this industry. And it was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, what are the markers for success? And like, there was a lot of undoing with body image and what it meant to be successful. So the comparison piece, like, yeah, of course, I think there's so much comparison in network marketing because you like corporate does that. Here are
Mm-hmm.
your top 10. Here
Yeah.
are your elites. Here are your
Yeah.
star students. And this is
Mm-hmm.
what you have to strive for in order for us to like essentially give a shit about you. And
Yeah.
you've got thousands of people that are like, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me, at
Mm-hmm.
these like
Mm-hmm.
events and like pitting each other against one another. And you can't like, there is no collaboration. That's
Right.
unheard of. So it's
Right.
interesting. Yeah. I mean, it was something that I definitely had to undo as I came into this industry. And I crave that networking and the community and the collaboration. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things that I would do differently if I was going into the network marketing arena today. And I am not knocking network marketing. I think it's an incredible business model, especially if
Mm-hmm.
you have no business background. Pick something
Mm-hmm.
that you are in love with, something that you can get behind. It is a
Yeah.
turnkey business in a box. It will teach you so much about marketing and
Yeah.
sales and leadership and all of the opportunities. I'm so grateful, but there's definitely like a lot of trauma undoing that I had to
Mm.
do.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That whole
Yeah.
like, these are your top stars and that's everywhere still, like
Oh,
I
you
mean, really,
betcha. Yeah.
it's so present. And I mean, I wasn't in network marketing, but I was in fitness. And so that I really relate to that comparison of like, oh, I need to look like this person. I worked for a supplement company. Okay, this is wild. I worked for a supplement company for 10 years and we would go to like all the big fitness expos. We'd go to the Olympia, we'd go to the Arnold Classic. We were all over the place. And we had some like big names, I'll say big names in fitness on our team. We had some professional athletes. We had some of like Arnold Classic bikini #1 in the world. Like we had some pretty cool people on our team. And I remember we were prepping to go to the Olympia in Vegas and an email got sent out to us like 8 weeks, 12 weeks before the event. And it literally said almost word for word, don't forget so-and-so is coming. So if you don't show up in your best shape, don't expect to be in any of the photo shoots. Don't expect it. Like come top notch or don't come at all.
You're like, cool, I'm not gonna eat for the next 3
Great.
months.
And like speaking of, like I was the only woman on our team. Hey, I was almost the only brunette, but I was the only natural boobed girl, and I have little boobs. And
Yeah.
anyway, so right there, I'm like, oh my God, well, I won't look as lean just for that reason alone because I don't have these huge, big thingies coming off my chest. Anyway,
You bet.
that like, and I was a grown woman. Like I was 30 at that point. So like it was still like daggers into me. So that is still so present. That still lives in me, that comparison. And so it's been interesting. I've had to unfollow a lot of accounts who are doing like similar to my business. I've had to unfollow a lot of, just literal like female entrepreneurs, business coaches, people who I looked up to. Cause I'm like, I can't spend my
Mhm.
time trying to chase you. I can't try to be you. I don't need to be you. And by
Yeah.
watching you talk about how great everything is all the time, and I'm in the shit, I can't. So the last year has been like unfollow, 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 following only those who like light me up, expand me, make me excited. It's self-care. It's my social media self-care. So
Yeah.
that I diverted there. I went out, but comparison,
No,
it's a
I feel
real dirty
that so much
devil.
for sure. It is. And I look back at that period of my life and it's like I was so happy, yes, and
Mm-hmm.
you can tell that there was a part of me that was just so confused. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who I am without this title. And it's so funny that you say that about like fake boobs and stuff like that because I literally at 25 years old went and got implants which I had taken out 3 years ago because I got breast implant illness, which is a
Oh my
whole
God.
nother
Yeah.
thing. We're coming up
Yeah.
on my like explant anniversary, and it's something that I love talking
Mm.
about. And like breast implant illness, I'm super open about it. I've got podcast episodes that I've recorded on it. I have like information on my Instagram about it. I'm such an advocate of like
Yeah.
I did things to my body because I felt like that was the thing that you did when you became successful as a coach in that particular company. You
Yeah.
got to 5-star and you got a pair of boobs. That's just what
Yeah.
you did. And like, as a single mom, I thought it was like such a flex that I went like,
Yeah.
and so
Totally.
something that has happened in the last 4 years since I like explanted and started healing the relationship with my body, the
Mm-hmm.
relationship with my emotions and sensations and connecting to parts of myself that I have never explored before. Like the emotions that I just suppressed my whole life and
Mm-hmm.
the transformation that it's happened in the last 4 years. Like I wish that for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy being a mom of 3 little girls. I just look at them and like it was actually such a pivotal moment. After I had my explant surgery, my oldest would have been 8, 9, 9. And having to explain to her like what she's old enough. I'm like, I went and had
Yeah.
surgery. Okay, what did you have? Like, I had an explant. Well, what's an explant? And I'm like, how do you explain?
Yeah.
I got two plastic sacks that I got sewn into my body
Mm-hmm.
removed. And she's like, well, why would you put those in? I'm like, I don't know. Like, that's a really good fucking question, isn't
Great
it? So,
question.
like, explaining this to her, I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know. I don't know how to explain this to you. And like I
Mm-hmm.
hope that you love yourself. So I'm not shaming anybody for body modification by any means. If that's your jam, like full send. I was doing it for the wrong reasons,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's just been, yeah, it's been really cool, the evolution
Mm-hmm.
over the past years, diving into
It
all this.
feels to be, yeah. Thank you for speaking to that. I feel like it's not funny. I was gonna say it's funny. It's not funny. The implants was like a trend. And I mean, it's been around for a long time and it will continue to be around, but there was a period where it was like the thing. And now it
That's
feels like the trend is like, get that out of my body. And I'm seeing
true.
like so many women I follow are having them removed. And like, I'm so sad at why, because it's generally that it's causing them to be incredibly unhealthy. Can you share, just in case there's women listening, can you share like some symptoms or like what led you
Yeah,
to,
totally.
let's go into that. It feels really important.
It is really important. And I think so many women, it was actually so crazy. 2 days ago on my Instagram, there was this young gal, super fit, really healthy. She's like sharing her journey of like these rashes that she's breaking out in all over her face. And then she would like, it was almost like an allergic reaction. Her eye would swell shut, and just like she was getting tested for like Lyme disease and all of this stuff. And she's like, still working on my healing journey. So of course I'm like, that sounds pretty familiar. So I go to her page to creep to see if she has breast implants. And sure enough, she does. And so I left her a message, and it was just like, I had these exact same symptoms. This is what mine looked like. And it turned out to be my breast implant. So might be something worth checking out. I think there isn't enough awareness around it. And I also think there's a lot of women that are like, that's just fear mongering. There's this woman I couldn't even, I just couldn't even with it. So she's a very well-known fitness person, has a massive account, and that's what she teaches is like fitness, has a great body, has a whole supplement line, like hundreds of thousands of followers. And she was like talking about her healthy breast implants, how she got them in a healthy way. And I was like, what
What
are
does
you
that
even
mean?
saying? That doesn't even make sense. That's just like, that's silly. You're being silly. And so she's got all these like YouTube videos on it and stuff. So I go to her YouTube because I was like, whoa, my gosh. And she was like, people that say that, breast implant is just fear mongering and all of this stuff. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But I go to her YouTube channel, and it's like, here's how I work with my autoimmune disease. Here is how I'm like eating for my Hashimoto's. Here's how, and I'm like, what is happening? So you're like, you have Hashimoto's, you have autoimmune disease, you have this incredibly dry skin, like
Oh
all
my
of this
gosh.
stuff. And you're saying that like breast implant illness isn't real. My girlfriend, like that is breast implant illness. That's what that is. That's what that
Oh
is.
my
So
gosh.
yeah, it was crazy. So for me, it was right after I had my second daughter, I started having like extreme fatigue, inflammation so bad in my body. And like I worked out, I ate well. That was my lifestyle. Like super sore joints, had all of the markers for like fibromyalgia. My eyes were so dry all the time. My skin was so dry. I felt dehydrated all the time. I would have like rashes that would pop up, like just weird things. My
Mhm.
hair was falling out like in clumps.
Oh,
So I had everything tested. Like I had my thyroid tested. I was tested for autoimmune, and I was tested for all kinds of stuff. And they were like, your inflammation is so high, but there's no explanation for it. And so I lived for probably a year with all these symptoms. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse to like, I was just so sore. I was in so much pain. I was so inflamed. And then I was just like, late night Googling as we do, and something about breast implant illness popped up. And it was this whole list of stuff. And I was like, check, 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 all of these things,
wow.
like basically check off. So I went to my doctor and said, I think this might be breast implant illness. He's like, I've never heard of this before. I show him the
Mm-hmm.
list. He's like, holy shit, I think you might be onto something. So I booked in for my surgery. COVID happened. So then it was like
Mm-hmm.
18 months later that I actually ended up being able to go in for surgery. Within 2 weeks of having my explant surgery, half of my symptoms had cleared. Like
Wow.
immediately. I have a picture on my Instagram of my eyes. I took a picture of my eyes the morning of surgery, and then 24 hours later, and they don't even
Mhm.
look like the same eyeballs.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. Yeah.
And your
Yeah.
doctor had not even heard of it. I wonder if more doctors are onto it now, or if this is still, I mean, we live in a time where you have to like
Yeah,
really self-advocate for your health, but I'm very
totally.
curious if,
And
oh,
yeah, I mean, a plastic surgeon is going to tell you that they're perfectly safe because
mhm,
that's how they take their, 7-week trip to Cabo every year and sit
mhm,
on the beach.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
of course, a plastic surgeon is going to tell you that they're safe. I think doctors just don't have the awareness around it because it's not something they're learning in school. But
Of
I mean,
course.
hundreds of thousands of women having the exact same symptoms,
Mhm,
having them removed and having the symptoms clear up, like that should be
mhm.
enough of a case study.
Yep.
Like when they do scientific case studies, they will say something is safe or not safe based on 8 to 10,000 people, right? And
Yeah.
so for them to, hundreds of thousands, truly, there's a really great Facebook group. It's called Breast Implant Illness by Nicole on Facebook. And there are hundreds of thousands of women in there sharing all about their explant journeys, like plastic surgeons to recommend, and
Mhm.
their before and after photos, and just like it's an incredible support group. But
Okay.
yeah, so crazy. It's crazy. And coming from the fitness world, it was very, yeah, it was
Mhm.
a journey for sure.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't even know what time it is right now. I am coming to an event that you're hosting. I want you to just talk a little bit about it. We haven't even talked about what you do for work. Can we just like tap in a little bit?
They're like, who is this woman that's been in my ear for like an hour?
Oh
Hi,
my
my name is
God.
Volard. Thank you for being here with us. Appreciate you so much. My job.
Your
I work
job. Yeah.
at
What is
my
that
job.
word?
What is the title that I want to use today?
Mhm.
Um, I am a Kundalini business coach, and I also love to like recently am playing around with just like women's empowerment coach. I feel like that
Mhm.
was something that we're like, let's stop calling ourselves empowerment coaches. And I'm like, I have worked with tens of thousands of women on like empowerment, self-source power, like feeling like a total fucking badass and chasing your
Mhm.
dreams. So at this point, I'm like,
Mhm.
actually, I think I've earned that title and I'm going to bring that back.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
women's empowerment and somatic embodiment practitioner. I do all kinds of things. But I really help visionary entrepreneurial women build businesses that they are so obsessed with. It helps them build that life of their
Mhm.
dreams and really creating that like internal environment to make it happen too, like a lot
Mhm.
of the work that you do with breath work and the nervous system. I do a lot of that same work, embodiment work, somatics, Kundalini,
Mhm.
which is breath work and working with the nervous system, because it's both and, it's like
Mhm.
build the business, but you have to become the woman that can handle it, mind, body,
Mhm.
vision, soul,
Mhm.
family environment, all of it. So that's what I do. I mentor women to really
Mhm.
create everything. I always say that you can like do, be, have anything that you want in the whole wide world. You just have to become the woman that can hold it all. And you have to
Mhm.
put one foot in front of the other without giving up
Yeah.
and create momentum for yourself, and you will create it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
And then thank you. I love that. So what's happening in Montreal?
Oh, everything is happening in Montreal. Like you just
Okay.
need to come find out. It's gonna be amazing. As She Rises Live is a 2-day women's conference. We did it last year. We're going to do it every year, I think. I
Mhm.
hope. Hundreds of visionary women, entrepreneurial women. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to have a business. We had lots of women come out last year who are just like, I need to be in the energy of other women who are doing the thing, who are empowered, who are doing brave,
Mhm.
courageous, bold things, like stepping into their vision, dreaming so freaking big. So that's what this is. It's a 2-day conference for you to like walk in as one version of yourself, stay with us, completely evolve, leave a completely different version of yourself when you go back to your home and your business and your family. We are jam-packed for 2 whole days. We have speakers flying in from all over the world, like some freaking incredible speakers, panels, workshops, all of the thing to help you build your business, step into your power, like so good. And then on Saturday night, we have the higher self embodiment party where you get to dress up as your highest self, whatever that means for you, like gowns, crowns, lingerie. We had people dressing up as like unicorns last year. We had like 360 photos, static DJ, wicked tunes, mocktails, and you just get to like come as your highest self and be seen in that and embody her and dance and play and mingle with other badass women. And it's like one of those weekends where I'm like, I could sit here and talk about it all day. Go get your ticket. I promise I'm going to blow your mind.
Mhm.
It will be the
Perfect.
best decision that you make all freaking year.
I have my ticket and I have two other girlfriends that have their ticket waiting on a third. Yeah, we're coming. We're coming to have a good time.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
just so transformative. Like the testimonials that we have from last year are just so powerful. But like for me, as the host of this event, like watching so many of these women, like terrified. For some of them, it's like the first time they got on an airplane, the first time they've
Mm.
left their babies, the first time they've ever stepped into a room with other women. Like, how were we talking about like comparison and like sister
Yeah.
wounds and stuff on the beginning of this sesh? Like,
Yeah.
you and everybody else walking into a room like that is scary as hell. But like when you foster those relationships and you become that woman that can do those things, like you leave completely different. And so
Mhm.
for me, hosting and facilitating this weekend, it's the transformation from like day one when all of the women come into the room, the party on Saturday night, and the fucking energy by Sunday night is just like, let's go. Like, I am unstoppable. I cannot wait to go home and just like build the dream, build the vision. It's like, yes, like this is what it's all about. And there's no course online, no podcast that you will ever, ever, ever listen to that will give you that feeling that you will
Mhm.
experience in person,
Mhm.
ever. Mm-mm.
There really is something so exponential about being in person, whether it's an in-person coaching session, an in-person Kundalini
1000%.
session, an in-person retreat, or As She Rises event. It's
Or
like, yeah, you can't explain it. It's how I feel about what I do for work. It's how I feel about breath work. I'm like, oh, I don't know how to explain that to you. You just have to come.
totally, totally.
Hmm.
And it's the
Hmm.
same thing. Like, you know, you can facilitate a breathwork session online and it's still going to give the person the medicine and the
Hmm.
breakthrough, and that's
Yep.
great. When you do it in person, it's like, what just happened? Kundalini,
It's
same
so
thing. Like,
different.
you do
Hmm.
Kundalini in a group at a retreat in person,
Hmm.
and everyone's like, what planet did we just go to? Like, that
Yeah.
is not the same as online. And, you know, live events like that, it's like, yeah, the business trainings from multiple seven-figure earners and like somatics from some of the best in the industry in their craft, and like the things that you get to learn and walk through, epic. But
Hmm.
there's something
Hmm.
about being like shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart with other women that can
Hmm.
genuinely look at you and be like, you got this, I got you. Let's go home and collaborate. Like, I see you in such a power, and you feel that viscerally in your body. It's
Hmm.
not the same. It's like
Hmm.
changing on a chemical level in the cells of your being, as opposed to just like, I call it mental masturbation, where it just
Hmm.
like stimulates your brain so much, but then once it's
Hmm.
done, it's like done.
Yeah.
Something like this, it's like you change the chemistry of your being. You know,
Yeah.
you'll never be the same again.
Yeah. I get it. Like, I get it. I get it. And I haven't gone yet, and I get it. So I'm so excited.
It's
I'm
gonna be
excited for you. I'm excited for
so excited
me.
you're coming.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Easy.
I can't wait to
Yes.
squeeze you, like in
I
person.
know. I know. Oh, I know.
That's my favorite part. I just like hug people all weekend. I'm like, oh my God, my
Hmm.
cup is so freaking full right now.
Yeah. Will your family come out with you and just like hang in the hotel? Yeah. Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah, the girls came to the event last year, and that was one of the coolest moments of my life, honestly, when like it takes a year to build out this event, and like the heart and soul that I've put into this business and my legacy and my vision, and like I've been all in for so long. And there
Hmm.
is something about like telling your kids, like, chase your dreams.
Hmm.
Don't ever let somebody tell you that your dreams are too big and like you can do anything. It's like such lip service compared to the moment when I stood on stage, and like, yes, there's hundreds of women in a crowd and that was awesome. But it was my mom and my dad and my husband and my three little girls standing at the back of the room, like against the wall. And I looked at them and was just like, don't give up on your dreams. You can do anything that you want. Like, you can do anything. And like it it brings tears to my eyes every single
Hmm.
time I tell that story, because it's like in that moment in my life, I was like, I'm the walking, breathing embodiment of everything that I am telling you to do in this life. And like, I hope that you see this, you know, and
Hmm.
like for them to look up at me and be like, that's our mom, you know, like it's like,
Wow.
like, yeah, like it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's gonna be great. Yes, I'm flying them out. We might spend a little bit of extra time in Montreal because I've actually never been there.
Oh, I've been to
I've
Montreal
never
for
been.
9 hours. I had a 9 hour layover on my way to the Dominican. I was 24. My girlfriend and I were going to the Dominican, and we had a 9 hour layover in Montreal, and we landed at 11 p.m. and we flew out at whatever, 7 a.m., 8 a.m. the next morning. And it happened to be the weekend that oh my gosh, what is it? Race cars, the
Formula One.
Formula One was in town. So we took a cab downtown. All the streets are blocked off because there's a
Oh
literal
my
race
God,
car. There's like race cars, like vroom, going like 200 miles an hour. The streets are packed. Everything's open. So we're at
that's
like
crazy.
different restaurants, different bars on the streets.
Oh
The
my
race
God.
cars are whizzing by. There's music. It's like everything was a nightclub. Everything was fun. And we stayed for, I mean, we stayed for the whole time and then got back to the airport and got on our flight and landed in the Dominican at like
Oh,
noon.
what a wild
Oh,
story.
it was so good. We had a really good time.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
That's like
But like
fun.
the city of Montreal is beautiful. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Totally. Well, we kind
Yeah.
of pulled everybody. So it is a
Okay.
Canadian event, which is funny though, because like I would say 2/3 of my community is down in the US.
Mhm.
I am Canadian, and there's nothing like this in Canada. I mean, there's nothing like it in the States either, but definitely nothing in Canada. So we did it in Calgary last year. We said we'll
Mhm.
do the East Coast this year. Montreal was definitely a place that everybody was like, if you could go to a city in Canada, where would it be?
Mm.
Montreal was a huge one. It's just such a beautiful, old
Mhm.
historical, city.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give it a whirl.
Yeah.
We have an event coordinator that is out in Montreal that is
Mm.
speaks French, so
Perfect.
she is able to help us with that piece, and she's just doing everything on the ground, and I just get to like fly out there a week before and hope that everything has fallen into
It's
place.
it's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be
It
perfect.
is. It's gonna be
Yeah, it
perfect. I mean,
is.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. I just giggled because a lot, speaking of speaking French, you and I both have French last names, and we kind of giggled about this last time when I was on your podcast. Do you remember you trying to pronounce my last name properly?
Yeah, 100%.
And
And I nailed it.
you totally nailed it. And I can't voler. How do I say yours properly? Vola.
How about just Volard?
But that's not proper. I know it's not proper. And you know
It's
it's not proper.
not. No, it's totally not. It's totally not. It's like
Oh, hilarious.
Volard.
It's so
But
pretty.
also, I'm so far from French. I'm like not. It's my husband that's French, not me. And
Yeah,
he's like hardly French. I always say that you're hardly French because he can't speak French, but he's
right.
like, Casey, I'm half French. I'm like, okay, that's fair, but still, like, whatever.
Oh my God. I would like to speak Spanish before I would like to speak French. I think Spanish is my
Totally.
feels more,
Yes.
it's more versatile. It's more useful. I think it's
Yes.
prettier a little bit.
It's so pretty. That's something before we go to Costa Rica at the end of the year that I'm like, everyone's
Mhm.
going to do 10 minutes of Spanish lessons on the Babbel app so that when we get there, we are not like the people who cannot speak a lick of Spanish, and that's just not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always good etiquette to speak a little bit. Hi, thank you. Where's the bathroom? What time do you
Exactly.
close? Like, I don't know. Where do I buy
Totally. And I
fruit?
like immersing in that culture too, right? It's not like a week-long
Yeah.
vacation. It's like if we're going to
Yeah.
be there, we want to like take that opportunity to be there.
Yeah. Okay, so other than Montreal, tell the people like where, best to find you. What do you have going on? Where, yeah, how can we land in your world?
Yeah, love it. So go get your ticket for Montreal. Honestly, like that's all I can say. And like to be totally transparent, the As She Rises brand does not make money off the event. So this is not
Mm,
me like pitching a program. This is like, come, we do this for us as a community.
mhm,
And like we are so lucky when we break even on these events. Like that's
mhm,
amazing. Just come get your ticket. You can get in the room for like right now, we even have a payment plan where you can like start for $88 a month. Like it's just crazy, to be able
mhm,
to do that.
mhm.
Super low cost way to be together.
Great.
So I'm gonna see you in Montreal. I'm so excited.
Mhm, mhm.
Sure that if you do get your ticket, come say hi to me and let me know that you heard this podcast episode, and I want to cheer you on because that's really cool. But to come hang out with me, honestly, Instagram and my podcast. Like those are my two favorite places to be. I am Casey Volard, just like my name on Instagram.
Mhm.
Always posting stuff and like the behind the scenes, my life. You can come to Costa Rica with me
Yes,
on my Instagram.
please.
And my podcast, Empower Project Radio. So I've had tons of incredible guests, including you over on the pod. And I talk a lot about obviously women's empowerment, but how to build a legacy business and a lot of just like inner work and shadow work and becoming your
Mhm.
best self. So
Yeah.
those are my places. Come hang out with me there.
Amazing. All the links will be in the show notes, highlighted
Yeah.
first and foremost, the As She Rises event, of course.
Yeah. I'm like, that's all I want to do. That's all I want to talk about. Probably because I'm so immersed in it too. Like building
Yeah.
out something of that size is like you dedicate a lot of your life to it. It's like
Hmm.
all the
Hmm.
conversations I'm having right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank
Thank
you.
you so much for having me on here today. I love how we just like popcorned all over the planet and it was such a good combo. Like, was there anything that we didn't cover? Because I feel like
I know, and
everything.
I'm already like, what am I going to name this episode? Like explant, surgery, sister wound, mastermind,
Sister wounds, breast implant,
traveling.
yeah, and the
Wow.
room and Costa Rica
Yeah.
with Casey Volard.
The A to Z with Casey Volard. Okay. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll name it something rad. I love you. Have a
I
beautiful
love you
evening.
too. Yes, it's
And
been such a pleasure. Until next
always
time, we collaborate on something in the next few months. Can't wait.
sounds great. I'll be there. Mwah.
Thank you so much for having me
Bye.
on.
Bye, beauty.